Ben, right here in the middle.
To your right, please.
I'll go speak now.
And Daniel.
Right here.
To your right, please. To your right.
Daniel, right here in the middle, please.
Eyes up here. Daniel, back here.
Up top, Daniel.
Daniel, in the back row. Right here, thank you. To your right. To your
Daniel,
right.
up top. Daniel, one more. Daniel, one more. Hey. There you go. Right in the middle, please. Right in the middle. Right here for the Bronx.
And your right, please.
Over here. Right here, in the red.
Dan, right back here.
Look down, look down.
To your right, to your right.
It's now my great pleasure to welcome the cast of the film Looper,
Argo, Spring Breakers,
Cloud Atlas,
Hotel Transylvania.
Silver Linings Playbook.
It just feels like a real film festival for the community.
It's very exciting for me to be here to support a film.
I wanted to show Toronto the way I experience it.
We want people to like our movies and understand them.
What makes it really special for me is the fact that the audiences have responded the way they have.
If I got lucky in the first two, this was the lottery.
I feel like I hit the jackpot. I mean, I can't believe that I'm sitting at a table, flanked by these people.
Every producer I've ever worked with is in that character. And a couple I invented.
You have to be faithful to what they really were.
But I certainly wouldn't, deign to think that we are godfathering anything. I do. And that's why he's got the beard.
First nice thing the press have ever done.
I was really happy to find out this is where we were coming.
I said, I'm in.
The festival of the people who live here.
That was amazing. And it is now my pleasure to welcome the director, producers, screenwriter, and cast of The Fifth Estate. Thank you.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning. Hello.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the press conference for The Fifth Estate. Since we have exactly 30 minutes for this press conference, I'll skip the filmographies of all the people who are here at this table, and I will introduce them immediately. On both ends of the table, the two producers, Michael Sugar and Steve Golin. Sitting next to him, Joshua Singer, who is the scriptwriter, who wrote, among other things, and produced West Wing. Sitting next to Mr. Sugar as Ian Katz, the deputy chief editor of The Guardian, Mr. Dan Stevens. Sitting next to him as Daniel Brühl. Sitting next to Mr. Singer as Julian Assange, Mr. Benedict Cumberbatch. And sitting right in the middle, director Bill Condon. And the first question will go to you, Mr. Condon. Has Mr. Assange, through whichever nefarious means were necessary, seen the film? Has he commented on it, or has he not seen the film?
He has, to our knowledge, not seen the film. He got a hold of a very, very early draft of the script, which he's commented on, which really bears little resemblance to the movie we made.
The second question will go to Danielle and Mr. Cumberbatch. Have you worked with the real characters, with the real Daniel and the real Julian? Possibly not in your case, Mr. Cumberbatch, possibly in your case, Daniel. Would you care to comment on that experience?
Yeah, it was a bit easier for me. I was in touch with Daniel, and we met a couple of times in Berlin, and he was very open. He would answer me any questions I had. So we had a very good relationship. He was very supportive all the way through. And I mean, the film is partly based on his book, so we mainly talked about his relationship with Julian. But also apart from that, we talked about him, about his life right now. And I can only say that I believe that he's a true activist. When I visited him, there were French activists working at his place that stayed there for free, and I fully believed in his integrity.
Mr. Cumberbatch?
I didn't have any direct access to Julian, no. We didn't meet in person. He stated very clearly at the beginning of the project he didn't want to condone the film because of the perspective that it was showing of him and the story. So that was a sort of closed door.
One more question to the two of you, actually, and then we'll take questions from the floor. Mr. Assange is so well known physically, and Daniel Berg is so unknown physically. Was it difficult for you to find the real amount of hair, speech pattern that we've seen on television 17,000 times? And was it easier for you, Daniel?
I don't know about easier or harder, but I think they both come with their obviously different challenges. He still served a character that he met, and as he said, Daniel has great integrity in person. So I'm sure Daniel can answer that question. But we may not know Daniel, but we now do through Daniel's performance. And Julian, I wanted not to impersonate, but interpret. And there's an acreage of footage online. A lot of it is formal. A lot of it is him in presentational mode, him arguing or being interviewed or talking about any particular issue to do with WikiLeaks. And so that's one mode, and obviously the film investigates the man in a more private mode of friendship and working relationship with Daniel Dom Scheitberg, as well as stories of him very much off camera, very much out of the public eye, and his reaction to certain events. So that was, that was the harder part, I guess. Yeah.
Well, we are not that different, I think. So there were a couple of distinctive things that helped me to, get into the character, like the glasses or the tattoos that he would wear. But the more important thing was to get into Daniel's mind and understand him as a person, as an activist.
Did he help? Did he help?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
And we'll take a question here and then a question there. Sir?
Good morning, Neil Smith, BBC News. Question for Benedict. The standoff continues outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London. I was wondering, how would you like to see that situation resolved, and how do you think it will be resolved?
Who knows? I really don't know how it will resolve. It's very complicated, and I'm not a legal expert. I'm an actor, and that's not a dodge, it's the truth. I wouldn't like to venture what I think should or might happen. It's very complicated, and it's to do with dealings and goings-on behind closed doors for all of us, and I don't have access to any kind of information or perspective that would shine a light on some sort of certain truth about that. So what I'd like to see is the man able to carry on being able to do his work as the founder of WikiLeaks. And beyond that, due process has to take place in whatever shape or form that happens.
Sir?
Yes, good morning. Bruce Kirkland from the Toronto Sun. Also a question for Benedict Cumberbatch. Right over here, my friend. Good morning. Congratulations on the film. And I'm curious because the film portrays Assange as both a devil and a saint, egotistical and yet altruistic. I'm curious what you think...
As a human being, maybe.
As a human being.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what you think he would think of the portrayal of him and the mission that he believes he's on with WikiLeaks.
I'm not him, surprisingly enough, otherwise I wouldn't be here, and I really don't want to venture what his reaction's going to be. I'm not a betting man, but I imagine he won't particularly want to support the film. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not a mind reader, even though I've tried to get into his mind to a certain degree for a certain period of his life. I think personally that we show a man and his idea and integrity and self-sacrifice that he had to pursue to see that through. I think we show the achievements of WikiLeaks between 2007 and 10, electoral reform in Nigeria, the exposure of corruption in the banking systems of Iceland and a lot of Western Europe, and Tibetan suppression by the Chinese. I mean, huge achievements that organization made, and then the massive dump of information in 2010, sorry. I think there's a lot to celebrate about his achievements and the perspective it shows on what he managed to do and how he managed to do it.
Question to the two producers. Who came up with the idea of making a movie on WikiLeaks, and who approached Mr. Singer and Mr. Condon, and in which order?
The idea originated with DreamWorks Studios, who had picked up a couple of the books upon which the movie is based, and they had a relationship with Josh and with us as producers prior to that. And Josh wrote what we all thought was a brilliant screenplay, and so we needed to find a brilliant filmmaker, and that's when Bill Condon came in.
Josh, any comment?
Do you agree that you're a brilliant screenwriter?
It's very, very kind. I felt very lucky to have a shot at the material. I took a class in law school 10 years ago on internet and society, and have been interested in the subject matter ever since, and very quickly called up all my favorite law professors and a bunch of other experts, and it was really a labor of love to research the issue and then try to find the story within the issue.
At which point did the title was the title chosen, as opposed to Gods and Monsters, except that it was already taken?
That's right. It was very late in the process that Fifth Estate became the title. We had dinners while we were in rehearsals with 20 people throwing titles around. So I guess, very late.
Ma'am? Then the gentleman here.
Oh, sorry, Silvia Bizio, La Repubblica of Italy. Mr. Condon, I was wondering, just as the movie poses the question, what was Assange? What was he trying to do? Is it a revolutionary? Is it dangerous? Or is it something that in this world of today we should welcome? I'm wondering, what is your thought about what happened, and in general, what do you think about the extreme freedom of the press?
Well, I think it's reflected in the movie, isn't it? It's I've had a lot of people say that watching the movie is an odd experience of being impressed by him and then being turned off by him at every 5 minutes or so. And I think in terms of that issue, yes, he's an absolute pioneer, and he's made a huge difference. He opened the door that Edward Snowden just walked through. I mean, for all of those reasons, I think he's an extremely admirable figure. It becomes a question when there's so much information that he is responsible for, and whether he is the person or the kind of person that we want to leave that responsibility to.
Question here. Well, in the meantime, I'll ask you a question, Mr. Stevens. If I may use the phrase liberally, the supporting cast is astonishing. No offense to you guys. From Laura Linney to Stanley Tucci to you, but that also means that you have very short moments to establish the character and play the game. How did you approach Ian Katz? Did you meet him? And how did you work out the fact that you had to establish yourself immediately?
Well, I think what you just said is a testament to the global reach of this story. It really is an international film, and there are actors from I don't know how many different countries in this movie, and a lot of accents to boot. It was a great honor to just be a part of this story. There are so many cogs in this machine, and Ian Katz is a very interesting one. I did meet him actually. I had lunch with him the day I got on the Eurostar to go to Brussels to shoot, and it was fascinating just getting behind what it was like as a journalist in that time, and the danger and paranoia that these guys were feeling, and for some of them, for the first time, really feeling that they were fulfilling what they became journalists for, which is a very interesting question. Yeah.
Question here.
Actually, that question, my question follows on from that, Dan. I mean, as someone I'm sure has had a fair degree of press coverage, maybe even intrusion in your own life, how did you feel about portraying a journalist on screen?
I think my sympathy for the good journalists increased, and my criticism of the bad ones also increased. I think it's really a question of the truth, and what is the truth, and where do we get it from, and do we trust the people that claim to be giving it to us? I think that's what what interested me about this.
Question here.
This question is for Mr. Cumberbatch. First of all, good morning.
Morning.
This question, I first came upon your work when you were in the National Theatre doing Doyle's Frankenstein, and you portrayed the two roles with your colleague. You switched every night. And I'm really curious, because I've seen you develop, it's been very interesting to see your growth, your opinions about coming from the theater to the movie screen, because this portrayal that you have of Julian Assange is so nuanced and is such a complete character that we don't often see a role, in my opinion, that is in depth to that degree. So I'd like you to speak, please, about becoming a movie actor and coming from the theater and the craft that you bring to it.
Thank you very much. Well, I genuinely believe that they feed off each other. I think you can learn a lot from both. You can take theatrical moments into cinematic moments and vice versa. I really do believe that. It's about, I don't know, it's just about intention and integrity and being specific. And I think, I don't know if having a theatre background changed my approach to film acting in any particular way. I think we're very lucky in my country that we get a chance as actors to experience a very broad medium of work opportunities in one place. If you're starting your career in London or even in the regions now, with some fantastic film and television work outside of London. So we're sort of spoilt in comparison to America, where there's often an East-West Coast choice after graduating drama school. So I was really, really lucky to begin in theatre. You have the wonderful, amazing discovery period of a rehearsal time, which is a luxury in the film world, but most directors and most projects, including this one, do try to carve that out so you can experience a preparation and a level of experimentation and failing and getting up again and failing before you're in front of a camera and committing to something that might be deemed a failure. So it's a luxury, but when you get that, that's incredibly important to carry over from theatre work, and that's sadly why I have to leave here in a day's time, because I'm going to rehearse a film. But yeah, thank you.
A question for you, Mr. Condon. You already directed Kinsey, and you were involved, of course, with Dreamgirls, which is a thinly transparent transposition of The Supremes. What? And now you have Julian Assange. What's this penchant for real figure of our everyday life?
Well, I think you have to choose carefully which real figures to dramatize. And what I found interesting when I first read Josh's script is that, as with Kinsey or with Gods and Monsters, this was somebody whose public acts are very much informed by his background and who he is, so that you could tell a private story. And you could describe behavior behind the scenes that would illuminate all the things that we know about, so that there isn't this disconnect between, somebody in the bedroom has nothing to do with what he's doing. It's all part of the same thing, part of the same puzzle, to try to figure out how Julian Assange created this and how he wound up where he is. So I think, yes, I've been interested in real life figures, but not indiscriminately. I think you have to choose them very, very carefully.
Good question here. Yes, you're getting the mic, sir. You have the mic.
I have it. Good morning. Mr. Cumberbatch, it seems the Fifth Estate does a very good job dramatically showing Mr. Assange's, technological and civic achievements, as well as his personal flaws. And I wonder if it's fair to say that that type of dramatic tightrope walk or balance was your portrayal of the character, or do you really have to, prior to the shoot, make a decision? I like this person or I don't like this person. You're going to make kind of a dramatic, emotional decision, and that's going to be your thumbprint in the portrayal of this famous character.
Most actors don't. I'd say, you know, there are two things that you've asked there. You've asked about the kind of meta-narrative of the film and what you want the film's impact to be, which you should redirect to the filmmakers and writers and producers and director. But as an actor approaching a role, you have to find a level of empathy and understanding with your character. And I think to try and carve out anything that's two-dimensional, to go into this realm of is he you know, thumbs up, thumbs down, I find that so limiting, and that's a selfish perspective. I'm not saying that's prescriptive for everyone and other people's working methods and how people will view or receive the film or my work in it, but certainly as an actor I want to find out what the three-dimensionality is behind a character and what motivates them, what's human about them. And that's not to soften the edges at all, that's just purely because it's near, I guess, to a human experience, so there's some common ground for audience to understand a character's motivations, because then it's something that we can relate to rather than something that's ostracized from us and something that's telling us how to feel and think. And I personally get bored when I watch that type of work, and I get bored doing that type of work. So that's the motivation behind what I try to create.
Daniel, Dan, do you agree?
Absolutely. Nothing to add.
Hello, Charles Thorpe, Us Magazine. Congratulations on this poignant opening night film. It was really a fantastic topic. This question is for Benedict and Bill, if you want to answer it.
We can't see you.
Sorry, right here.
Okay.
Yeah. The slate for this, for your careers, and Benedict with your work in sci-fi, and Bill, your work on your last films. What is it that draws you to a film? You have, Benedict, you have 3 very different movies in this year's festival, and what is it that draws you to a role?
Well, shall I go first? Well, as much as it's your choice as an actor, then yes, that's very much a prerogative for me, is difference, is variety. So I'm thrilled that 3 so different and extraordinarily brilliant films are that I'm involved in are all showcasing at this festival. It feels a little bit like an embarrassment of riches, really. But yeah, that's kind of my guiding principle when I do get the opportunity to choose, is to keep myself guessing, to challenge myself to do things I haven't done before and hopefully an audience hasn't seen before. And the raft of talent that I've worked with on all of those films are inspiring on every level, from all 3 directors, and Bill in particular. We had a fantastic relationship on this film, and it was it's a really extraordinary journey that I went on with him and with the characters. So that alone, and then the casts are just extraordinary. And I won't list all the names now because you know them better than I do, but and it would waste everyone's time. But with the utmost respect for craftsmen that I've been watching and admiring for years, including Daniel. And Dan as well, although he's a contemporary of mine, and we sort of started out at the same time. But I remember seeing Daniel in Goodbye Lenin. When I heard he was being thought of as Daniel Dom Scheitberg, I was over the moon. He's an actor of real skill and integrity and subtlety, and it was a masterclass. I thought, his acting in this film, not an easy thing to do in company with a sort of extraordinary character like Julian, I suppose. But I thought he was amazing. I love you, Daniel. But yeah, no, I've been very lucky. So yeah, variety is the answer to your question. After 5 sentences about other things, variety.
I agree, variety.
Question over here.
No, it's good.
Hello, Juan Carlos Garcia from Mexico City. This is for Benedict and Daniel. How was the relationship of you on set when you were filming this movie? And can you tell me which do you consider was the best information that you could read on WikiLeaks, or that you read about WikiLeaks?
Relationship? You're from Mexico? Terrible.
We didn't talk to each other.
Podemos hablar en castellano. Si no lo entiende.
No, we got on very well. We got on very, very well. It felt like a joint venture. It didn't feel like either of us were doing solo performances. It felt like a real collaboration. And he's a very dear friend because of it, and I'm very flattered by that because of how wonderful I think he is as an actor, as I just said. So, yeah, a good thing came out of it. What was the other part of the question? I can't remember.
I don't know. Okay.
Info about WikiLeaks.
It was confusing, wasn't it? I mean,
so
both
much.
of us, we had this input and we wanted to defend and have empathy, as Benedict said, with our character. And then we all had these different sources, and I was mainly trusting, Daniel and defending him, and so did Julian, Benedict, with Julian. So that was quite confusing, and we talked a lot about it every day, actually. In the makeup trailer, we would talk about new information that we would have, and what was very contradictory.
And there's a lot of information there about this period of time. I mean, it's been much analysed. I think judgments should still remain for the future, but it's very well covered, and there are a lot of opinions as well as actual facts and accounts. So, yeah, there was a lot of material to source from.
We'll take 2 more questions. The lady over there, and then the gentleman here. Go ahead.
Hi, Cassandra Sklarski.
Could you please stand up? We don't see you.
I'll try to stand. I have many things on my lap.
Lucky them.
Canadian Press. Hi, this is for Benedict. It's related to a question earlier, actually. With the big 3 movies that you have at the festival, Cameron Bailey referred to you as the man of the festival. I'm just wondering how you feel about that. And how
there are lots of other amazing men at this festival. You've got a few of them at this table, but I'm flattered at the same time. I can take a compliment, but I'm a very small cog in the wheels of the other extraordinary films that I'm in. Very proud cog in those wheels. God, that's a terrible metaphor. Stop with the extended metaphors. I picked that one up from you, Dan. Sorry. I'm very, very happy because they're very different pieces of work and very different flavors, cultural flavors, and I think will all carry importance in their own on their own terms. Sorry. So I'm thrilled, and it's the first time I've been here. So it's, like I said, it's an embarrassment of riches. It really is.
Sir.
Good morning. I'm here. I speak Spanish also, so I'm from Chile. I'm Ernesto Garrat from El Mercurio newspaper. I just want to know my question goes to Benedict and Daniel. Do you have, or did you have any knowledge or lessons to be hackers? Because you look in the screen, with a lot of. I mean, did you have any chat with professional hackers or any thing for that like that? And to Mr. Bill Condon, what about the treatment of the movie? Because it's a political movie. Finally, do you have any pressure from something with power? I don't know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, fortunately, my brother is an IT guy because I don't know anything about computers. And when I first met Daniel, he said it would take him probably 5 minutes to get into my computer and get all the information. So I changed my passwords, and now I don't remember them.
Yeah, ditto. I mean, I'm very computer illiterate, so I think, I interface with easy, user-friendly kind of software on sleek-looking hardware, not really understanding what the workings of computers are. So it was fascinating to explore that aspect of him and learn about Julian's pioneering work in computer programming and hacking. And it was an education, but not one that I took to naturally.
Bill?
And as for political pressure, I have to say, this was mostly financed by DreamWorks and this remarkable company called Participant, whose mission is to make socially active films. And the meetings I would have after showing them versions of the movie were extraordinary because, most Hollywood financed movies really do try to tell you what to think, and this movie does the opposite. And I would have conversations afterward where they would say, just go ahead, embrace the ambiguity, be more ambiguous, don't worry about that. I kept pinching myself. I felt like I'd gone into some alternate universe, so there was absolutely no pressure that way.
I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.